I think that's a big one. I think you can go a number of different directions with both the winter and the spring. The biggest point here is Oklahoma's added a lot of talent, and they needed to because they did lose some talented pieces. Who were the biggest losses in the portal sessions? We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, we talked the biggest additions in both the winter and the spring portal sessions. Now let's talk about the biggest loss in the winter.
Oh, man. That one was tough because that's when we saw the mass exodus. You lost like 19 wide receivers off your rosters at one time. And it's just kind of like, all right, well, I guess, the entire room is probably your bigger one. But no, when I looked through the winter one, I once again started to look for those subtle players that you were hoping to have that next jump, make that next leap, or things work out perfectly for them. And to me, probably the one in the winter is going to be Deshaun McCullough. I know. He didn't get to live up to the expectations that we had of him coming in as a very threatening edge from Indiana. But man, I thought he was going to be something, dog. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, his size and versatility is something that I value of what we could use for him on defense. Because his first year, when he was doing that against Texas, I mean, he was getting stuffs at the line of scrimmage, running through big dudes at his size. It's like, heck yeah. And then that was the one thing he said, too, is because of his size, teams were cutting him like crazy. And so he was dealing with knee problems and knee pains or whatnot, and had to have small procedures to clean things up. So having someone that versatile, it does make teams have to adjust and change their game. And sad to see him go. He'll probably do some special stuff at Nebraska. They'll probably have him do a lot of edge rushing or whatnot. Unfortunately, we had a massive amount of players to do. I know he wants to learn linebacker here and hopefully leverage that to go to the league. But I think he's probably one that jumped out to me as a subtle loss that would really, that we could potentially feel if we didn't go grab Kendal Daniels.
Yeah, I really would have liked to see them play him more at edge. I get that, the linebacker cheetah thing was part of the plan, and that gives you the opportunity to use him that way some. But with his length and his size, like, bulk him up, let him play defensive end, and just see where he goes, because he does a really good job playing with leverage. And if Matt Rule is able to leverage that, I think it gives Nebraska a dynamic player. There's so many different ways. And actually, before the show, I'd had a decision on which way I was going to go in this, but I've changed my mind since. I'm going to go with Nick Anderson. We could discuss everything that went down, what happened, what didn't happen, what should have happened with Nick Anderson last year. The kid's a good ball player, and he should be at Oklahoma. I mean, the legacy that Rodney Anderson left, the season that Nick Anderson had back in 2023, which was a breakout year. I mean, double-digit touchdowns in his first season of extended playing time, 800 receiving yards, averaged over 20 yards per catch. The kid was on track to have a really, really nice career with the Oklahoma Sooners, and it's kind of a bummer that he's going to be doing it now for LSU. Now, how healthy will he be? We'll see, but it's unfortunate the way that all that went down and all that transpired. Yeah. He's such a good player. He's such a good route runner that he would have made this offense really go. And, had he been on the field and been able to work with John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle, I think there would have been a chance for him to have another big season for the Oklahoma Sooners. And when you don't have really good wide receiver play to speak of, or you don't have answers at wide receiver that you can count on, having a guy with over 800 yards of receiving and double-digit touchdowns on your roster, that would have allayed some of the concerns. Now, would he have been healthy enough for 2025? Who knows? But given the fact that his brother played here, he was such a part of a huge moment in the 2023 Red River Showdown. Some of the big games he had in that season, like, it just makes me feel a certain kind of way that he's not going to finish his career at Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, I get you on that one. And the one that I debated the most about it, and I ain't gonna like to hear this, but it's definitely Bauer Sharp in my personal opinion, because I would love to have an athletic tight end to just be out there and be available for John Mateer. I mean, I don't care what any of y'all say. The kid was put in a very bad position. It was one of those situations where he had to figure things out, it felt like, on his own. And yeah, I know that we still got questions at tight end, and we're going to have questions at tight end until somebody steps up and becomes that dude on the actual field. No one cares about practice when it comes to that position. Of any position on this team, the one position no one cares about in practice is tight end. We need to see somebody show up on the field. Bauer Sharp gave us all that. I mean, he was our leading receiver, and it was the one that obviously the quarterback had the most comfort with, that he would, force the ball to constantly. If you had him now with a John Mateer, John, do you see Bauer's entire existence being different?
Well, I see it differently if you've got your top 3 wide receivers.
That too. Yeah, that's also a good point.
And people have rightly pointed out that he wasn't the best blocker, but you give him another offseason to continue to work, and I think he would have improved as a blocker. But also you give them a starting trio of wide receivers, and he's not your number one option in the passing game, and I think everybody feels a little bit better about it. Yep. You give him an offensive coordinator that's experienced instead of Joe John Finley, who's just trying to come up with whatever he can to try and create offense and not force the ball to Bauer Sharp so much, then probably everybody feels a little bit better about it. If he's your 4th option or even your 3rd option in the passing game, I think everybody feels a little bit better. But the fact that he had to become your number 1 option in the passing game, sometimes he was your option in the passing, like as a thrower as well. And then there were times where they had him as a read option or RPO candidate when Jackson Arnold wasn't supposed to give him the ball, but did give him the ball. So I don't know, man. It's a curious case of Bauer Sharp. I think there's so many things that could be said. I think he was a solid player that had room for improvement, that could have improved a little bit more had he been at Oklahoma one more season and not been the top option in the offense. But that's the way it went down. The other one for me, though, Jay, Lewis Carter, that's the one I was debating, and the one I had chosen before the show. The dude is an athletic, prototypical linebacker. He's going to get out there. He's going to make plays. He's going to run the field. He's going to be a terror. UCF got a good one. I really like that dude's attitude and mentality. It's a shame that he's not going to, again, be at Oklahoma, because I think he could have had a fantastic career for the Sooners. Also, your linebacker depth is pretty thin beyond this year. If Kip goes to the NFL, if Kobe has a breakout season and decides, hey, you know what, I'm going to take an opportunity and go to the NFL, we're kind of short on linebackers. You got Sammy, but beyond Sammy, you don't really have a whole lot of experience at linebacker. Kendal Daniels will be gone after this year. So losing a guy like Lewis Carter, it kind of stings a little bit. From the spring portal season, though, Jay, I know people don't want to hear this one, but on the topic of tight ends, I'm going to go Devon Mitchell.
Yeah, you're not wrong in a way. It's the potential that you're talking about. That's that subtle loss that could have been something if everything applied and worked the way that it was supposed to. So I totally get that. That's actually a very solid choice for the spring. For me, I'm gonna stick with Sawchuk. Yeah, I know that we gained Jaden Ott and we were needing to thin out that running back room because of how many backs we have. Mm-hmm. Sawchuk still brought you a veteran presence who worked hard, even though he wasn't healthy. I think it's a little bit of a subtle loss that you may miss at some point. Now, granted, Jaden Ott goes out here and rushes for 1,500 yards. You're going to be like, who? Sawchuk, who? Right. Or if you have a combination of Jaden Ott, Xavier Robinson, and either Javante Barnes or Taylor Tatum all put up, a combination of over 2,000 yards rushing, no one's going to think about that. But I still felt like he was a really good leader overall and really good in the community. So that's some of the little things you miss. You miss those glue guys and the ones that continuously work even when things aren't going their way. That's going to be something that would be missed being in the portal. Well,
I think the overall thought here is that Oklahoma didn't really have a spring loss. You had guys that you liked having as a part of your team, but they also whether it's Devon Mitchell, who hadn't really impacted the team yet, you're just losing the potential, or Gavin Sawchuk, where you significantly upgraded the running back position with a guy like Jaden Ott. You didn't get hurt out of the spring portal, like a lot of teams did. There's a lot of teams out there that were expecting guys to be a big part of their program this fall that took significant losses. Oklahoma didn't really take a significant loss in the spring portal season. Let's talk the top college football jobs according to On3 college football analysts. We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooner.